Welcome to this presentation and score workshop, LinkedIn for Business. So it's kind of a double entendre because you're using LinkedIn to get business and for your business. So, I mean, it's a couple of things that are going on there. Let's see. All right, a little bit about me. If you haven't been part of a presentation in the past, I'm a digital marketing strategist. I've got more than 30 years of marketing experience, and a lot of that's been traditional marketing. In fact, I've been a newspaper advertising salesperson and sales manager for several newspapers, and also worked at several advertising agencies. So got pretty good, well-versed experience in a lot of different media. That's more traditional. Over the last 10 plus years, I've focused more on inbound and digital marketing, which is obviously working on the web. And that's your website, digital marketing, emails, social media, that sort of thing. I've been on LinkedIn since December 2007. That's early on. Haven't really, in the beginning, didn't leverage it that much, but it certainly has become a good go-to business tool. Like I said, I do run my own business, and what I focus on is helping businesses get found in a search when their prospects are searching for what they do. So, and that's the key about digital marketing, just being able to get turn up in that particular search. LinkedIn is part of that, especially if they're going to be doing, people are going to be doing a search on LinkedIn for what you do. So, like I said, LinkedIn for Business is to help your business grow, but it can also be used to find talent for your business. So if you're searching to find people to work for you, LinkedIn is a great tool to be able to go out and do that. Obviously, there's some people that are, let's say, promoting themselves as candidates for particular positions, but at the same time, it can also be used to search for talent just that are not looking, that you may find somebody and you can approach them and maybe recruit them to your business. So there's a lot of things that are going on there. It depends upon how big you are too. When it comes to that, you may have like a dedicated HR department with a team of recruiters that can actually go out and do that. Okay, this is LinkedIn is the most powerful professional networking tool on the planet. As of earlier this year, there were over 675 million users with a split of 56 male to 44% female. That's just a demographic. Obviously, that encompasses the entire world, so it's not just the United States. There's 167 million users in the United States. That's kind of an interesting factoid because there's about 150 some million people that are in the actual workforce. So you can almost say that just about practically everybody that's working is on LinkedIn. So it's a great tool to reach out and connect with other people in your market space. There's 310 million unique monthly users. So that means that out of the 675 million, 310 million, almost 50%, are out there every month uniquely on the platform. Millennials, that's that 18 to 24 group globally. There's 87 million people that are actually out there, which is about 24% of all the users. So it's kind of a group that maybe demographically you want to attract. Okay. 90 million are senior level influencers. That means they're C-suite and business owners and business managers. So again, if you can identify the target market that you're after, you know, here's one of those tools that, or one of those little demographic facts that might be of value to you. It is in over 200 countries. Like I said, it started here in the United States. In fact, in the Omaha area, there is a LinkedIn office. It's more of a programming center and customer support center. I know a couple of people that actually work for the company. It's over on 132nd and Pacific area. they recently just moved from around 120th and Blondo. They had been over in that area. Interesting enough, back probably 12 years ago, I actually interviewed with them. Daily use is like 46 or 47% of all the users that are out there on a daily basis. I used to be one of those out there every day. I'm out there frequently. I wouldn't say every day at this time. Now, one of the things that's important that you need to do is take and put a photo, and I'm talking about a professional photo of yourself on your LinkedIn profile. This is not Facebook. Don't put a cartoon character. Don't take and put your cat on here. And believe me, I've seen it, okay? I mean, if you're a cartoonist, having a cartoon graphic of yourself is okay. You know, but putting your cat, there was somebody that once when I was involved in a career networking group and counseling, came across somebody that was actually part of our group. I looked at his profile and he had a picture of his cat on there. And I'm going, you're never going to get hired, because the recruiter is going to look at that and say, forget it. He's got his cat picture. He's using this as Facebook. So you don't want to use LinkedIn as Facebook. If you start doing that, you may get flamed or even blocked, so that your updates aren't showing up on a connections stream. Okay.
Hey Jeff, sorry. Yeah. Do have one question. Do people who do not work use LinkedIn?
Yeah. I don't know how much, but I don't see why not. Somebody would not use that if they're, let's say, if they're not working, they may be working from home. And I'm just thinking that it could be somebody that, well, I mean, obviously, if you're in career transition, you're going to be using it. But maybe at some point you want to get back into the job market. So it's a way to keep up on what's going on in a particular market segment. You may be following companies, so you want to see their updates. You want to go out and maybe participate in some of the groups that are part of LinkedIn, and just keep in touch with what's going on, because you never know when your situation may change and you want to get back in the job market. Does that answer the question, I hope?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you've got free, which most people use, and then there's a paid service. So, and there's 4 different types of paid, and there's some flavors within the paid, such as a recruiter, okay? There's a recruiter type, and there's a light version, which is $100 a month. And that allows a recruiter, somebody looking to find talent, to go out and look at anybody's profile, deep into their profile, and may not even be able to be seen as someone that has looked at your profile. So that may have some, value to people. The other thing is that there's a corporate license, and they may call those seats. And I had a friend that actually worked in recruiting over at TD Ameritrade, and they had 7 seats that they shared amongst their recruiting staff. So they could share that within their pool of recruiters. Each seat cost $3,000 a month. So they were using that so they could take and find talent across the LinkedIn sphere. And obviously, when you start talking 7 seats at $3,000 a month, that's 21 grand a month that they're paying LinkedIn. So obviously, they're doing that for a very good reason, to find people that are going to take and pay that back for their corporation. That's got to be an investment, otherwise it'll be an expense. That's not good. Now, for a job seeker, there's another one for $30 a month. So that allows people to take and do messaging and a little more enhanced profile, and being able to actually go into see other people's profiles a few levels deeper than, let's say, normally. Then there's a Business Plus, and quite frankly, I used that for a while, and it's really a good tool because it does allow you to take and then have direct messages to people that you're not connected with, which is always good because, you know, on LinkedIn, unless you're connected with somebody, you cannot, I'll put an asterisk by that, message them through the LinkedIn system. And the asterisk I'll talk to you about later. But it is a nice tool. Again, it allows you to see a little deeper instead of just second level, that you can actually see a full profile. Then there are sales navigators, and that is a little more, and there's tools on that to take and allow people to use like a contact management system to take and, you know, put values to their contacts and be able to identify individuals and companies that they can go and approach and prospect. And there are team programs that are part of that as well. And that's for a larger organization to share some of that information. So the team approach does work, but that's something that you contact LinkedIn and they set up a customized program for you. Okay, I'm an SEO kind of guy, search engine optimization, and search engine optimization on LinkedIn is just as important as on your website or anywhere else. And especially if you want to take and get found for a personal profile as well as your business, okay? Because there's business pages as well that you can take and optimize. And it all comes down to different areas, like on my profile here, I'm pointing out, obviously you got a picture, you got your full name, and then you see my professional headline. And I highlighted those keywords that I thought, you know, are important to get found when somebody's searching for what I do, which are Google search, inbound marketing, digital marketing. And those terms don't have to be together, okay? So in other words, digital and inbound marketing are three different words, but digital and marketing are on the same page. So sprinkle that throughout the about content as well, which is also another way to get found. You also take and put those keywords into things like your work experience and other areas, some of the skills. You try to take and leverage it, get keyword density on your profile. So when somebody's searching, again, for what you do using a LinkedIn search, that you can turn up when that keyword phrase is actually turned up. Now, one of the things in the results is that you want to make sure you have a, you know, again, a photo, your name, and it's going to say the location where you're at. And that professional headline most often is something that turns up, and you want it to actually be something that arouses interest, creates desire, and motivate action. You don't want to just say, oh, you're a marketer at XYZ company, which is usually the default that you're going to actually get when you take and put any kind of work experience in. It defaults on your professional headline. And you want to take and customize that so that you can take and actually put something in there, which is basically how you take and help businesses succeed with what you do. So again, here's where I'm talking about your profile. So your profile is what turns up. Digital inbound marketing consultant helping businesses get found by prospects in a Google, and then it truncates it search. So that's where it's important to take and get that out there, because when somebody sees that, they don't see, like on Megan, digital marketing strategist at NMC Inc. What does that say? It doesn't say anything. It just says, okay, this is what you do and where you work, not how you solve anybody's problems. And that's what I'm getting at when you take and customize your profile. So you want to take and do that. Now, one of the other things that you do is when you take and upload your photo, you rename your photo. Put your name in there, separated by hyphens, along with your job title. Okay. Now that is one of those weird things that you don't see on the front end, And if somebody copies your photo and tries to download it, which they can do, they won't see that either, but it's part of the LinkedIn algorithm. So they actually see that part of that. And that's part of the keyword density. So obviously the content that you have on your page is all important. You know, your summary, your about section, okay, your experience, okay. And when I talk about experience, don't repeat duties and responsibilities. Tell people how you do your job better than anybody else with the same title. Because as a rule, most people, when they see a job title, they know exactly what you do. Tell them how you did it better. Put any awards and recognition in there. That all adds credibility to your personal brand. Now, obviously that helps if you're looking for a job, but it also helps if somebody takes and finds you and they want to take and reach out to your company for any kind of reason. And they say, oh, this guy really knows what they're talking about. Okay. When somebody goes and gives you a recommendation, please review that. Make any suggestions to them if they want to take and put any keyword into the content. That helps too, because that gets posted on your profile. Skills and endorsements, that's another area. Projects, patents, you know, fill anything out that you can do. Certifications, if you have any certifications. Again, it's about personal branding, and it's also about branding for the company that you work for in that regard. You know, education, generally it's going to be the professional, your upper level, not your high school, unless there's some value in it in the town that you're in. I know that one time when I was looking for a job, you know, like 25 years ago, I applied for a job at Boys Town, interestingly enough. And the person I was interviewing with actually graduated from the same high school I did. We were several years apart, but it was just kind of an interesting factoid when I went out to her profile and I saw that was, she, you know, she was a graduate from the same high school. I went, that's a small world, especially when the high school's in Wisconsin and, you know, we're here in Omaha.
Hey, Jeff, could you describe the keywords on photos again?
Keywords on photos. When you name your photo, okay, so your photo is usually named image0026.jpg. Rename your photo. In my case, would be Jeff Quant digital marketing.jpg. So that's what I would do, so that when you upload it, that gets included in the keyword density of your profile. Now that comes from LinkedIn Insiders, okay? Because that you won't find anywhere. Again, when I was doing career networking and some career counseling, and some of the people I talked with at LinkedIn, they say, yep, that'll work, that helps. So we're going, all right, that's kind of interesting.
We also have a question on the paid options.
Yeah.
You noted paid options for businesses, but do you know anything about paid options for nonprofits?
That would still be under a business type setting. I don't think they differentiate on that in terms of pricing. Now, one of the things on careers, that's one thing I didn't touch, is that if you're a veteran, you do get 1 year of career LinkedIn premium for nothing. So there is that little benefit that way. But one thing that I would do is that, hey, if you want to take and do a business or a premium type setting, take and contact LinkedIn sales and ask the question. I always say the answer is no unless you ask the question. So you never know what their answer might be. They might have an exception that I'm not aware of. I also say that LinkedIn is not Facebook. You know, avoid things like putting your marriage status or birthdays on there. I mean, some people do, I don't. And again, LinkedIn is not Facebook, okay? And avoid using Facebook. And do use, let's say, business type emails, but also when you're doing that, also have a personal email added to your LinkedIn profile, because if you take and leave the company that you're with and you no longer have access to your profile and doing a password recovery, it sends it to the last email that's on your system. So if you have a personal email on there, you can actually choose that as a password recovery as well. So it's always better to have more than one email address on your LinkedIn profile, and that's very possible in LinkedIn. I don't know if that's possible in some of the other social medias. This is the only one that I know that works. Okay, your home page, all right? On your home page, there's a lot of different sections, and you have updates. So you can take and start an update here. You can write an article. Now that's a long form post. A short form post would be just something quick and easy. You can add images, and that's always good, or video, or if you're actually adding a link to a document. For example, Laura here is one of my connections was actually took and shared an article. She's in real estate, 4 things to know about architectural lighting. So she's talking about why she thinks this is important for her connections to know. Now that doesn't mean that all her connections are going to find value in it, but it's something that you do share, and you can take and actually do things like comment, and share some of these things as well. And a long form post, which is writing an article, that is something entirely different. That's like a blog post on LinkedIn. It's more for when you want to take and stand out more as an expert. Okay, so here's the update feed, and you'll see people that are your first connections, and of course down below IBM Analytics, that's a promoted, that's a sponsored, that's an ad. There's an ad above that as well for Omaha PMP certification. There's ads over on the side. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is in the upper right-hand corner, the feed always shows you the top, posts that are going on right now. You can take and click the down arrow there and actually change that to the most recent if you want. So you can actually change the view. Facebook has a similar thing. It's getting a little bit harder to find, but that's one way to actually change the view so you can actually see things a little differently. The search box, okay? It's a quick and easy search. When you put something in there, it's going to give you groups, it's going to give you individuals, it's going to give you companies. It may even give you posts. If you put a hashtag and you start searching, it's going to give you recommendations. Okay, what are the top 5? Just like a Google search, when you start taking and typing in any kind of search, it's starting giving you recommendations. The more information you type, the different recommendations are coming up, and those are the things that you can look for. So you can search on hashtags, and hashtags have become almost a staple on all the social media platforms. LinkedIn was probably one of the last to fully adopt them, but now even when you start a post, it's going to give you saying, hey, here's some recommended hashtags. That's going to be based on what you're sharing as well as your personal profile. But here you can get a search, and then after you do the search, you can refine that. And I'll show you that when we get into the demo mode. Then there's messages. So this is where, people are going to be able to message you. Usually that's connections. There's another way that are not connections. Sometimes it's recruiters. Sometimes it's where the invitations are coming from. Invitations are also going to show up over under my network. So that's something else that you're going to have to look at. And you'll see, let's say, when there is something there, a notice, a red circle with a number in it. And then notices, okay? So this is like any other social media platform where there's notices of what's going on, the latest things that LinkedIn is saying, hey, respond to this article as your business page, or so-and-so on your connection list wrote this, and maybe you want to look at it and see, comment on it. So sometimes those things don't show up in your news feed, but they'll be in your notification window, and it might, it's worthwhile checking that just to see what's going on. Then you have a picture of yourself, plus it says me underneath there, and that's a settings area. It's also where your pages are located, where you are actually managing a page or part of a management of a page. And also settings for privacy and notifications and other things. So that's the LinkedIn area where you can actually get, where you can actually set a lot of different things in your personal profile. And then this particular box with the 9 dots happens to be for groups where you can place ads, jobs, ProFinder. We'll get to that in the demo, but you'll see that as one of those areas. So the top bar is very, very important for you to take and actually look at. And like I said, there's other areas here where you actually see me. You can click on your picture over in the left column and actually click on that and actually get to your profile as well. Down below that, it shows some of the groups that you're part of or managing, and then the recent posts. So there's a lot of things that you can actually see and get to in multiple ways. Company pages, okay? This is an interesting area because a lot of companies will want their employees to actually type, when they put in their work experience, to type in what their company name is and then select it. Because it's part of a branding thing. On their profile, they will get the logo that's on their company page in the little box. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but basically where my logo is in the company page, that'll actually show up on their brand. If they're linking to nothing, they'll get like the standard little gray company box symbol. So you want to make sure that they're linked to your company page and the right company. There was a local church that I was working with, and had a fairly common name, and that name was also in other churches throughout the country. And this particular church is rather large, has a number of people on staff, and they were linked to this other company. This other church in Kentucky and Florida. And I mean, it's like, okay, make sure that you have a company page and your staff is linking to the right page. Okay, now company pages are visible when it comes to searches outside of LinkedIn, in other words, a Google search. So that's something that's valuable. It's also very well indexed by LinkedIn. It does increase your search engine result pages inside and outside of LinkedIn. It does have some real good, strong SEO value. So again, what keywords that are important to the solutions to the problems you provide should be included in your About section, especially when you take and actually put some posts out there as well. That is if that fits, okay? There's analytics on this, so you can actually see when you actually put a post out, how many people are seeing it, how many people are reacting to it, that sort of thing. So that's also important. It will actually tell you who's working for the company. Now, obviously, I'm a one-man band, so when you look in the upper right-hand corner, it says 1 employee on LinkedIn. Well, that's me. I have no other employees. But if you do get a lot larger company, you can actually see some of those other employees that are working at that company. So multiple reasons. Again, you can actually make and reach out to maybe some of those employees if you want to find out more about the company, or infiltrate into the company to find out who is the best person to talk to. It's another way to find, let's say, employees in your space, in other words, the same general career area, and that you can take and actually maybe find out what group they're part of. And that's important as we get into groups in the demo, how you can take and leverage groups to your advantage. And then obviously you can take and put updates on here. And when you get an update, when I put an update, actually it goes to more than the followers on my page, because when I see it on my update feed, I will like that. And when I like that, that means it goes to my 800 plus connections, as in theory. Okay. It can actually show up on their news feed. And that's where viral, let's say, posts can go viral. So that's important, because there might be somebody that's part of my connection group, my network, that'll see that post and then, oh, we're going to take and share that with other people in my company or other people in my network. And as a result, I get more followers on my business page. So that's how you can increase your business page followers without actually paying LinkedIn to boost your business page to actually get more people to follow it. So, and then you can click on following and figure out who's actually following your page. So it's all kind of a neat little tool, and it's a great way to help brand your business. Put a nice banner in there, get your logo in there. And then, of course, the little slogan that's underneath there, helping business get found when prospect. I've got to update that, I guess, is looking for what you do. So,
Jeff, I got some questions.
Go ahead.
So you said earlier that you can't talk to people until they're connected, right?
Generally, as a rule, you cannot take and message people directly unless you have a connection with them. Okay? Here in groups, you can. Okay? And the reason I say that is anybody that you are, let's say, if you're in a group and you have this particular group, let's see, this has got 86,000 members, okay, search engine land. So I can take, and if I see somebody that I know that is part of this group, I found them through another method, I looked at their profile, I found out they shared this particular group, I can go out to that, look at the group members, search for them individually, they will turn up, and then I can take and actually message them through the group. So it's kind of a neat way to send a message to somebody that you're not connected with, but you are indirectly through this group. So being part of groups within your industry is very important. So I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Another question.
Next question. How do you get notifications that something has happened on your page other than checking your page every few hours, or can you?
Well, what happens is the little notifications in your notification window up on your personal profile, you will, well, let's say that is if you're a page manager. That's probably a little different. If you're just an employee, you would not be able to see that. There's admins and managers on pages. I'm trying to think if there's any other roles. I don't recall per se, but a manager can actually take and do things on a page outside of adding other users to the page. So larger corporations usually have multiple people that are involved on a page. You want that as a company because if that individual, if there's only one person, they happen to leave the company, somebody better have access to it. You can recover, you can get access to it, but it involving LinkedIn customer support, and you have to prove all sorts of other things with documentation. So I do recommend that you have more than one person involved on the page as an admin level user. So.
All right. Next question. Does it cost to have a company page?
Nope. They're absolutely free. There's no problem in having a company page. There's also something that they called showcase pages. I've not really leveraged that too much because it just adds another level of, let's say, I wouldn't say complexity, but it's just that you have to manage it. Now, a larger corporation can say, okay, you've got different product groups and you put different product managers involved in that particular showcase page, which would be related to their product area.
All right. And then we have, how often should you post updates on your business page?
Well, one of the things I like to do with companies is maybe 3 times a week, but that doesn't mean you have to limit yourself. You don't want to take and flood your news feed. Um, it's not Twitter, okay, where you're out there every, 15 minutes putting a post out. But there are tools that you have available to take and actually do automatic posting. For some of the companies that I work for, I'll sit down on an evening or during the day and I'll take and do, let's say, a week's worth of posts. So I'll scatter them out like on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'll know when it would be the best time for that particular social media to actually have that post show up in the news feed. When it's most likely for their prospects or their connections to actually see it. So that's kind of important to know, and that's where the insights come into play. When you can actually look at the insights of your page posts and actually see when somebody's actually looking at it, what time of day. LinkedIn, generally you're going to see a lot more use of that during the day part, during the working hours. Not 100%, going to be that way. Some people work different hours, but generally it's going to be during the working, 9 to 5 kind of time period. When it comes to things like Facebook or Instagram, you're going to find that, evening hours or weekends are probably going to be maybe a little bit more advantageous for you. But again, you have to know your demographics of your prospects and customers to target your messaging at the proper time.
All right, 2 more questions. So we got several folks in here who work at nonprofits. They're asking what would be like post of value to post on LinkedIn since it's not really Facebook. And then the second question is, can you turn off commenting? So if you have a small staff managing the page, is it better to turn off commenting or risk not interacting with them?
Well, that's an interesting question. I've never looked into that. We'll get into that in the demo about commenting. That's kind of a interesting thing. I've never seen whether or not you can do that on LinkedIn. I know you can do that on YouTube, turn off comments. So, I mean, it's an interesting concept.
And then what would be some things of value that maybe you would post as a nonprofit that
well, obviously,
you wouldn't necessarily post on Facebook?
Well, when you start talking about events, things that are going on that are current events, news articles, because some of the things that you want to do is bring people to either your blog post that's on your website, so they can see other things. So you're writing about certain things, or if you're sharing a news article, why you're sharing that, bring your company, at least as an individual or your company out there, so that people can actually see that as well, saying, oh, this nonprofit is sharing this information, which actually may have some business, implications. Okay. So, and I know nonprofits. I used to work for, let's see, it's been a while. Just one in my history, a true nonprofit. And, quasi. But basically one that was a nonprofit. And of course, that was pre-social media, so we didn't have that. We were doing public relations, but the idea is pretty much the same, getting your information out and in a way that is, let's say, touching a need that you have, but that also may be a need that a company might have as well. Any other questions? Is that it for now? Okay, groups. Why have a group? Well, groups connected to your company, and then also groups that you can join. But there are 2 types of groups, those that are listed and those that are unlisted. And sort of answers the question, why, what's the difference? Well, listed means anybody can find it and see the content of that particular group without being a member of the group. Unlisted means they're not going to find it unless somebody shares it with them. And sometimes they may find it by somebody commenting in a group that shows up on their news feed that their network may see, and they may want to take and then join the particular group. But membership will always require approval. It's great for customer forums if you want to do a customer support forum. So you could actually do something and use it and leverage it that way. So you really need to understand the roles of a manager and that of an owner or an admin. You can add managers from anybody that's a member in the group. So that's something that is helpful because if you're an owner and you've created this particular group, you want to have more people involved in it, especially the larger the group is, so that there's people that can take and monitor what's going on and in terms of posting. So you want to create a set of post rules and get those out there. So as part of the about the group, please read the group guidelines before participating, as they say in this particular group on Search Engine Land. So you want to make sure that you actually create a set of rules for the group discussions. And that's for any kind of group. So use the settings that are available when you set up the group and manage the group to set up the group rules and communications. It's also a way for anybody that's a manager to monitor the conversations that are going on, to be able to take and remove a conversation, block individuals. You can get people that are going to be spammers. I mean, they get out there and they just start tossing all sorts of things, breaking group rules. So, and discussions that are on a group should be designed to, again, arouse interest, create desire, motivate action, and the action is start a conversation. And it helps build your subject matter expertise by being part of this group and contributing to the group and be part of the conversation, and also builds networking opportunities. If it's part of your industry, so company-wise, so there's a lot of different ways and why you should be involved in groups. Okay, creating content. Content in groups, content on your page, content on your personal profile. SME status. And you should all understand what a SME is, a subject matter expert. And I like to tell people, I am not a subject matter expert in anything I do. And I know you're probably sitting there saying to yourself, why am I in this workshop if he's not an expert? Well, truth be told, what I do changes so fast, nobody can be an expert in it. So I'm a subject matter explorer. So it's a little different, little spin on it. But basically, you want to become the subject matter expert. Sorry, I am outside, and I'm close to the Millard Airport. We have a plane going over. But you want to be able to be that source of information that people will go to. Question or problem that they need to solve. Okay. And again, it is all about being the solution provider for problems prospects and clients are looking to solve. So builds familiarity. As you put the content out there, your name is out there, the visibility is out there. It helps build those relationships. That's the thing that is always kind of nice. Qualifies you as that SME. And then also, for people that will become clients and customers for you. Building relationships, and that's one of the things that I tell people about social media. I don't care what it is, it's all about relationships. Some people say, well, what's the return on investment? Well, there really isn't that much of an investment. You really don't look at it as an ROI thing, it's an ROR, return on relationships. And those relationships, as you foster them and grow them, generally that's going to result in business and income for your company. And you definitely want to increase your visibility on LinkedIn by doing that. again, those posts that are on your page will show up on your feed. You share them, you comment on them, you're sharing them with your network. It can go viral to other people within their networks. So that's one of the things that I talk about. Also, when you take and actually create a post, there's the post that you're sharing, let's say, from your website, sharing articles, or if you're actually writing a long form post, that's a article. And I've done several of those, not anything recent, but I've done some. And it does actually mimic a blog post. You can actually take a blog post from your website and put a shorter form on LinkedIn and then link it back to your website in the post. So it's sort of a way to whet somebody's appetite to the article, and then giving them the ability to click on it and take them to the complete article on your website. Again, the website is your hub of your online experience. So ideally, you want to bring people to your website so you can share things that are other things that you do, what other solutions that you can provide businesses and people. So that's all kind of a tactic to take and increase your website visibility. And I don't want you to take and just bring them to your homepage so that people say, well, now what am I supposed to do? Bring them to a specific page, a blog post or a landing page that is the solution to what you're talking about on the posts and your content. All right. So how do you engage? And when I say engage, the best way is commenting. You know, you can take and like something, but I'll get to that in a minute. But if you comment in a group discussion, that goes out to the group. Okay, so like if you have a group with thousands of people, potentially thousands of people can see, you know, your comment on there. They can read that and in their update, and they may want to take and participate and then maybe follow you or connect with you. So there's a lot of different opportunities there. You comment on updates in your feed. Again, it's a way, anytime you comment on something, you're sharing it with your network. And the larger your personal network is, the more people that will actually see that. And then commenting on the long posts. So that again shows up on your feed. It's about personal branding. It's about business branding. So those are all the reasons to engage in that particular fashion. Okay. Sorry about the dogs barking. Hopefully it's not too distracting. But social is conversational. So no matter what social media platform you're on, it's a conversation. And I just want to take and cover, let's say, some of the metaphors that I talk about in some of the other classes that I do about what is conversational varies on the various social platforms. Okay, Facebook is a B2C type platform. I call it the backyard barbecue or conversations. Friends, neighbors, relatives, you know, maybe some associates, you get together for a barbecue in the backyard, you're talking casually. So it's more of a business to consumer or consumer to business type platform. Twitter is the cocktail party of conversations. They're very short and they go out and you're doing it. The tweets live for about 15 minutes and you got to move on and put on more. So it's also very newsy lately. I mean, that's one of the news channels. And you can create lists and you can follow hashtags and all sorts of things that are on Twitter. So you can actually slice and dice. In some ways, you can do the same thing on LinkedIn. Pinterest is the ladies' bridge club. Not being sexist, but 80% of the users are female. So again, if that's a key demographic, especially I think it's 25 to 44, 45 demographic where it's very key, that's a thing that you want to look at. LinkedIn, on the other hand, is the convention and trade show level of conversation. So think of LinkedIn as the conversations you would have at a trade show or convention. And in 2020, the year of COVID, there haven't really been any trade show or conventions, unfortunately, except maybe virtually, and that's hard to do. But if you've ever done the trade show and convention type circuit, that's really what you're looking for. Even networking group, if you're part of things like Centersphere or BNI, or if you go to chamber events, that's the same kind of conversation that you want to do on LinkedIn. You don't want to take and put on LinkedIn what you had for lunch, okay? And you don't want to be out there selling all the time. You're out there selling all the time, people will tune you out. I have a connection that did that. I ended up telling him, I'm blocking you because quite frankly, you're selling all the time. And let me ask you this, how's that working for you? Are you getting results? Well, I said, no. Well, that's because you're selling all the time. LinkedIn, like other social media, you don't need to be selling all the time. And we'll get to that in a couple of slides. Okay, key components. Okay,
Sorry,
go ahead.
we do have one question that came in. What's the major difference between having a LinkedIn group versus having a Facebook group?
Well, Facebook, you can have private groups too. Again, Facebook is a little different in terms of its market, although there is some B2B play. I'm a member of Centersphere, which is a networking group, and they do have a Facebook group, and I'm thinking there's probably 800 some people that are part of that particular group in the Omaha area, and it's a private group. A lot of business sort of gets conducted there, but generally, Facebook groups are more for general information, like the cycling groups that I'm part of. It's to share things that are of interest to other people that have the same interest level. So yeah, you can have LinkedIn groups that are interest-based, which, like I said, that one which is Search Engine Land, that's for like SEO practitioners. It's an interest-based group. And it's a way to take and discuss things within the professional network to maybe ask questions to help solve business problems, as well as to share information. But Facebook groups generally are more for, like I say, interests when it comes to, like I said, the cycling groups that I'm part of, and some of the interest groups, although I do follow some web design groups that are on LinkedIn because their customer support is through Facebook, but it's through private groups. Those groups are private in nature. You may not find them, or you may find them in a search, but you won't be able to see any content unless you take and join the particular group. Okay, I want to get back here. Key components to social media. And I'll give the rule of thumb of what these are, okay? What percentage of time you should devote. Again, this is something that is sort of like maybe a standard within the industries, but it's not hard and fast because everybody can be a little different. But I think everybody knows that social media can be one of those things that you can sink a lot of time into, and you can get lost, and you can divert yourself from, maybe some other more important things that you should be working on. So yeah, these can be really sinkholes of where you can spend a lot of time. So the three components are listening, engaging, and publishing. And listening for conversation within LinkedIn is maybe going to the groups themselves and listening to what's being said, okay? Doing searches on your company name to take and find out what's going on there. But I say basically it's about 25% of the time you should be spending on listening, okay? 50% of your time that you're going to devote to any social media, LinkedIn included, is about engaging. And engaging engaging is, liking, but really commenting and engaging in the conversation. Okay. And don't just say thanks for sharing, because that does not add anything of value. Make sure you're adding something of value to the conversation. Okay. And then publishing content, okay, 25% of your time. So if you're doing an hour a day, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Okay. And that's just sort of a standard rule of thumb, but that doesn't mean that you have to stick to it, but that's how you could probably at least start if you haven't done something already. And publishing, obviously, when you publish something, you want to listen to find out if anybody's doing anything on that particular post in conversation. So you want to be able to respond, and that's part of the engagement. So it's circular. Now, the 411 program, okay? I did not develop this. This is through other people that I know within the social media sphere and digital marketing. But it's really a neat program, at least to start, because 411 is informational, okay? So you share 4 posts. You don't take and sell in any of these. When I say share, that means, okay, you found a news story. You publish that and you say why you find it's important, okay? That's about it. You're sharing this information. It helps you stand out as a subject matter expert. You can do this in your company page, in the groups, as a person. You can do this as a individual. So those are the 3 locations you can actually do this. You reshare a post. So on your feed, you're resharing a post either from a business that you follow, your business, your company, or somebody that you know, that you're connected with, okay? So that's just resharing, but then again, I always say, why are you sharing that? Tell people why you think it's important that you're sharing this. Maybe it's to help them understand, hey, here's something that could be helpful to you to solve this problem, okay? And again, you need to be problem solvers. It's all about when you take and write something in that update, that share, comment, how it's going to arouse interest, create desire, motivate action. So you have to understand, what is the action you want to accomplish by engaging in this engagement. Then you want to create a new post that's totally original on your own. Long form post, posts from your blog that you can take and reshare on your social media sites. Those are all important, and it's a way to help you take and become that subject matter expert. And this is the one place that I say, yeah, you can sell, okay? Soft sell, whatever. Take them to a landing page that if you're going to give away, let's say an ebook of some sort, it's a way to capture information. That's part of Inbound Marketing 101, to capture content information so that you can take and then cultivate, in other words, qualify that particular lead, nurture that lead, and then hopefully close that lead into a customer. Got a question?
So is this process is this the process you should be using each of the recommended 3 times you post each week?
Yes. Yes, I don't care if it's as a business or an individual, that's what you want to do. You want to look at that as sharing valuable information 5 out of the 6 times. You don't want to be selling all the time. You sell all the time, all of a sudden it's like you become antisocial on a social network.
Okay, and then so we need to share 4 posts first?
Well, no, it can be a combination. Okay. When I say that is like, okay, you can share like a couple of posts, and maybe you created a post, you take and share that, then you reshare something. It doesn't have to be in this order, but this is sort of the mix that you want to employ.
And then one more question, how do you share a post? Can you explain the basics?
What do you mean share a post? There's usually a share button on every, item that you see in your news feed. We can share that in the demo portion. If that'll help.
And then let's see, is this for LinkedIn only or a good rule of thumb for all social platforms?
It's really for all social platforms. I mean, if you're out there as a business selling on Facebook all the time, don't you think you're going to turn their people off? You know, because it's then all about you and your company. Are you really bringing, a solution to a problem to them that's of really value? I mean, you got to dance around this a little bit, but generally you don't want to be out there. Like I said, this one, he was a business consultant, and he was always selling his little seminars. He's constantly selling his seminars, and he wasn't bringing any value to anybody else, and he wasn't even showing him as an expert in anything. He was just saying, you register for this, and have you signed up for this? And it's like, it really got old. I mean, and it was like 6 to 8 times a day. So anytime I'd go out to my feed, I'd see this, then he was promoting himself. And I'm going, hey, I don't need that. So that's where I told him is that he needed to take and change his mix a little bit.
All right.
All right.
That was the last question.
Yeah. Okay. Like I say, it's all about something. You have to write something worth reading. Okay. And obviously your subject and headline, that's what it is. It's got to take and arouse interest, create desire, motivate action. Okay. And in a headline, that means I want to take and read the content. And the content is supposed to maybe bring to a link or start a conversation or take them to an article. So, I mean, those are the things that you want this to do. Question.
It says I might be guilty of selling a lot more than sharing. Can I get people to see me again if they've blocked me?
That's a good question. I don't know on LinkedIn if you can find people that have blocked you. That I can't say. I've never looked. I don't know if there's a way. Outside of maybe contacting individuals to say, hey, did you see this recent article I shared? And that would be a one-on-one type thing, because that would be something that you may want to do via messaging. So yeah, there's maybe even another tool that you could use outside of groups, pages, and your personal profile and do a message to somebody, and maybe messaging several people. But again, you want to dance on that a little bit so that you don't take and abuse the privilege. But that might be a way to find out. But I don't know if there is a way to actually go into your profile and say, who's blocked me? I don't think there is a way. So, again, when you take and write something, writing things and making sure that it, sets you up as a subject matter expert. It solves a problem that prospects or people that you're connected with have. Think of the keywords that are being used in searches. All those things are important to take and put in the headlines and into the content so that, that can turn up as a search result on LinkedIn. So, and the links are to, articles that you're sharing or your blog post. And generally when I say a blog post, that's taking it back to your website. Now, I've also taken and shared landing pages on a business website. So let's say I'm writing about a solution that people have, and I want them to know more. I'm actually sending them to that product solution page on the website. So therefore, when they get there, they can read more about it. And then there's obviously going to be contact links on the website, like requesting for a quote and that sort of thing. And I actually put into the post, request a quote, read more and request a quote here. And then the link is going to take them to my website so they can actually see maybe some of the other solutions I provide. That's the other thing that could be helpful. And remember, this is all about a conversation and the relationship that you can foster within the LinkedIn social network. Okay, you need to have a goal, okay? You need to be able to have them do something, and sharing is all about that, okay? That's why I say there's a share button on a post where you can actually click on the share, and then it'll goes, and then you can add why you're sharing it. Now, LinkedIn has a little different take on likes. Now, you've seen Facebook and they have likes too, and thumbs up. LinkedIn has applause, which is like celebrate. They just added the one with the heart, caring, and then the other one is love. You really love that post, and here's another one, an idea or question. So, but when you do this on LinkedIn, it actually shows up on your news feed within your network. That doesn't happen on Facebook anymore. So liking on LinkedIn is still different than on Facebook until they change that. Commenting though, commenting and then share are great because that shares the things within your network, and that's what's helpful to have posts go more viral in nature. Okay, and then of course clicking a link that goes to again, a blog article or an article that you're sharing. Do not simply post and run. I've seen too many times when companies will take and do this. In some industries, you can't get away from it. I know that many of the financial advisors that I deal with, they're dealing in a very compliant, focused industry, and they have companies that do their social media posts. They can't do a whole lot on them themselves because of compliance and regulatory things. So, so even if they do something and somebody puts a comment on there, they may not be able to reply in a way that can answer the question in the comment outside of saying, hey, give my office a call and we can discuss. That might be the extent of it. But don't just simply post and run, and don't ever go back to your post and see what's going on with them. That gets back to the other thing about circular: listen, engage, and publish. So we want to get into a demo of LinkedIn and see if there's any other questions. No. Okay. Now let me escape out of this. All right. Now I haven't taken and gone into LinkedIn yet. I know you're not seeing my screen, so let me open up LinkedIn. Oh, great. My browser session needs to be relinked. Okay. Wait a minute, I don't want to sign up. I want to sign in. Lost
We're also
that.
just seeing a black screen. So
Yeah, I know. Just hang
Okay.
on. I want to get logged in. And I got two-factor authentication, so I got to take and punch in a code.
Take this moment to tell everybody that if you don't have two-factor authentication, that you should turn it on, because that can really save you from getting hacked.
Yes, your profile being hacked, that is not a good thing. Okay, let me go back to new share and do this.
While you're doing that, I do have a question that came in. To become a respected SME, how quickly do I have to reply to people's comments under my post?
Well, generally, I would say as soon as possible, but I mean within a day or two. Because, let's face it, the there's more things to do than be on LinkedIn all the time. So that's one of the things that I would, recommend. Okay, so here's my screen. All right. And you can see across the top, the only place I've got a red circle with a number in it is notifications. All right. Also, my news feed. DeFord Insulating Company is a client of mine. So what I've actually done is actually posted on his page. We're just getting this going. This is something new to him because he has a B2B interest as well as a business to consumer interest. So he deals in both areas with what he does. So in here, you can see I've taken and actually put in, we do all types of insulation for homes and business. Now, this particular post is more informational, okay? Because this actually leads to energy.gov. But I put in hashtags home insulation, business insulation, spray foam insulation. Those are keywords that are important to his business. And I can like this. And when I like it, it goes out to all the people that are part of my network, in theory. Okay. And you can actually quick comment on it. I don't always recommend that. If you want to do something, take and actually, comment on it. And then you can share it. And when you share it, it comes up. And now you want to take and write something. Why are you sharing this post? And it's going to anyone. And you want to take and add hashtags to it if possible. But generally, I'm not going to take and share this now, but I'm just giving you an example of what that does. Okay, I'm going to take and discard that. And then send. Send means you can send it as a message. So it's a quick way to do that now, to send it to somebody in your network. So it'd be something that you found that's a value to somebody that you may know that is searching for this particular solution that they provide. So you can do that. Now, again, this is more of an informational post. Some of the other posts that I've got scheduled that I'll be running over the next several weeks, and I do schedule for this client several weeks of posts out there, are leading back to his website. So not all the posts that I'm putting out here are that nature. I am also writing blog posts for his website. So it's original content that we can take and then share. So those are the things that we're doing for this particular client. Let's see, searches. Like I said, searches.
Jeff, sorry, before we get into that, couple of questions about the posting. Mark, I'm not entirely sure what you're asking with this, but can you edit and change applies to applied in your post? Not sure. So Mark, if you want to clarify that, but then what tools do you use for auto scheduling?
There are several that I use. Hootsuite is one. Buffer is another. Deliver It is another. So those are three tools, and they have free and paid versions. So you can share generally 3 different social media platforms with those particular tools under the free program. Under the paid program, it becomes more of whatever they particularly offer as social media connections. So there's a number of possibilities there. Some include Pinterest, some are Instagram. I mean, those are the things that you can do. But again, those particular social media platforms have unique demographics. So you have to understand when you set things up, especially if you're going to do an auto post. In other words, you take and put it in there and they auto schedule it for you, that you actually put the definitions of when you want something actually shared. So now when I took and actually clicked on this, it actually showed some searches that I've done just recently. But if I type a hashtag, digital, and you can see these are the things that are starting to show up. So if I hit digital marketing, then it's going to give me the hashtags of following. These are all the things in my upfeed now that are digital marketing related. So that's a quick way of seeing things in your feed on digital marketing. But let's say you're looking for a company, okay? And I like to use Union Pacific. This is kind of interesting too, because if you look at the choices here, you've got Union Pacific, okay, and that's branded. Then you have Union Pacific Company Transportation Trucking Railroad. And I'm going, that doesn't have a brand on it. And that could be that people have put in their profile, Union Pacific is where they worked, but they haven't linked to the actual official company page. So LinkedIn sort of has created this as a link to other people, but not a page in that regard. Union Pacific Railroad employees, you can see this is a group. Interesting. But you can say, give me all the results, okay? So here's where you can take and start seeing all the results. And the first thing that comes up are people. And it's going to be people and how you're connected to them, okay? I don't believe I have any first level connections to Union Pacific any longer. I think the people I know have left the company for one reason or another. And so what I see here is like, here's a connect button, but you can actually look at Jill Misek and see things. And then you got company results showing here, and you got more people. These are second levels, and job results within Union Pacific. And then you can continue on. You see more people. Then you see groups about Union Pacific. Well, there's only one group. You can see 45 or 3,400 members in that group. And let me see. Let me go back here to company. There are 10,000 employees here. And in the results, there's 148,000. So this is where you may want to take and refine this, okay? For example, you click more and you say, I just want to see companies, or I want to see groups, or I want to see schools or content, or you want to see people that have current companies. Because what they're showing you are people that have this in their profile. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're current employees or not. And then you may want to define this by location. Now, let's say the location is not one of the choices that's showing up here. So you can take and add something specific. And that's the same thing like current company. But here's the thing about connections, first, second, third. But so if I want to take and just see greater Omaha metropolitan area and just Omaha, Nebraska, I can hit apply. And now the 148,000 drills down to 6,200. And then let's say I want to take and do a filter. Now this brings up a screen that shows pretty much all those particular choices, but it also goes down, if you drill down here, goes into the contact. So if I wanted to reach somebody that was in marketing, I would type in, I want the word marketing in their title. Okay, so if I'm trying to find somebody at a particular division in the company, I want to find just people that are in that particular division. Now look what happened. In the Omaha area, there's only 120 results. So now I can start looking at their titles. And you can see all of them are using the dull and boring. This is my position and company. They're not telling me anything else. So I would say, what kind of marketers are they? But anyhow, but it could tell you that, okay, General Director of Marketing and Sales at Union Pacific, oh, maybe that's the person I want to take and reach out to. Oh, look at this. I got a connection. Blake Martin, a friend of mine who's a first level connection, can introduce me to Mark if I need to. Isn't that interesting? So that's another way of actually saying, message, hey, Blake, I know Blake very well. Can you take and introduce me to Mark Kellen? Now, I can look at Mark's profile. He can see that I looked at his profile because that's one of the triggers if he actually does that. He's got 500 plus connections. And right now, the only mutual connection is Blake. His about section is there. I can see more of the things that he's done, what he's promoting, and you can see his level of advancement, what's going on in his work experience. Keep on drilling down. His education, so that might be of interest. Maybe we went to the same schools. Skills and endorsements. This is one of the areas, again, it's about keywords and things that he's done and people can endorse them. This does add. And he actually has a background in German. I used to be able to speak that. Now, ich verstehe nicht. I don't understand it very well. Interest. This is where you can take and actually look at interest, okay? So when I take and pull that up, I got influencers, company he follows, what groups he's part of. All right, so I'm looking at groups. All right, I'm looking through here and I don't see any shared groups. But if he had a shared group, it would show up. Then I would say, oh, I'm gonna go to that shared group and then I'm gonna take and be able to message him direct, even though I'm not connected to him. So that's one way to find the people that, a way to take and actually leverage, a way to get into a company where you're not connected with the individual. Okay.
One question we've got is connect, like sending a friend request on Facebook, they have to accept it.
Yes, they do. And one of the things I say to people, do not take in the simple results. All right, I'm going to take and do this. I'm going to open up a new window and hopefully that works. Open link, a new tab. Oh, it was there. I didn't see it. Okay, so I have no pending invitations. Sometimes you'll see this, like if I take and click this, connect to Mark. I happen to know Mark, okay? I happen to know Jerry. There's a couple of people I already know on here that I was connected to Mark Wiener. Why don't I have a connection? Maybe something happened. But anyhow, this sends out the standard LinkedIn Connect message. Oh, I want to join your network. Okay, so when I receive that, I'm going, why do you want to join my network? What do I get out of it? So I've told people, I said, don't take and send that out. What you want to do is like here, when you look at somebody's profile and you want to connect with them, you click this button because now I can customize this invitation. I can say why I want to connect or why I'm reaching out to him. This is also another way for you to, let's say, message somebody that you're not connected with. Okay, so there is this other way to take and actually build a connection by doing this. And then you'd hit add a note. So you could take and add 300 characters in a message. You met them at a networking event, okay? Or there's something that you think that might be of mutual benefit. You know, that's where you want to take and talk to them about that. So that's what this is good for. I saw a question pop up.
What button did you just push?
Okay, I hit the connect button and then add a note. And that's where you get the note, where you can actually add more information. So if once you add more information, you can click done and it will send that off to him or that particular person that you're trying to invite. So what will happen is that it'll show up under their network as an invitation. I don't want to do that, okay. Like here, this is my network. I have no pending invitations. If I had a pending invitation, it would show up there that somebody's trying to connect with me. So that's one of the things that you could actually manage then. But that's why I say when somebody sends out an invitation that is a standard LinkedIn connection, I'm going, you want to join my network? What value do I get out of it? That's where you want to take and put something in that special note that you're sending out to somebody in an invitation. What benefit is there between the two of us to take and connect? Okay, so here you can see 722 connections that I have, contacts over 1,300, people I follow. So I'm following some individuals that I'm not connected with. And sometimes that comes about because they have reached the certain number of people that LinkedIn allows to be connected with. And the only thing you can do to get their updates in your feed is to follow them. And sometimes they can, within their settings, turn off the ability to connect, and they can only be followed. So it's very similar to you. You're going to end up having more followers than you are people that are actually you're connected with.
Had another question come in. Does the first connect button just send a generic message that you can't change at all?
That is, oh, let's see. Let me get over here. Under this screen, yes. When you look at their profile, no. When I say, okay, I want to look at David's profile, and then I see a connect button here, that's where I get the opportunity to take and actually write a custom message. And that's really what I encourage people to do. The only way that I really suggest that they take and reach out to try and connect to somebody that they do not know directly. So I want to talk about groups here for a second. Because like I said, when it comes to groups, this is another way for you to take and reach out to somebody that you may not be connected with that is a member of a group. Okay, so you can see on groups here, I'm owner of the 3 that show up here. In other words, I created them first. There's other people that are part of this group. I am a manager of the Omaha Sales Professional Group as well, so I can actually manage this as well. But there's 1,500 members, and let's say I want to see all of them. Now, this usually shows those that are first level, but they're not always. But you can see I am not connected because it says second level on here. Over on the box on the right, it says message. So I can take and message these people through the LinkedIn system, even though I'm not connected to them. I'm not sending them an invitation. I'm using their message system to be able to do that. So this is a great tool to be part of groups, interest groups, groups that are industry-based, besides career type based, that you can take and actually reach out to. And really, so it gets to the point, like if you take and find somebody on LinkedIn, you know their name. You got 1,500 members of this particular group. You don't want to take and scroll forever and ever and ever until you find them, because this is not sorted out in any particular method. Okay? You can see there's no way I can sort this. So you can actually, if you know their name, put it in here. When you know their name and you put it in here, then you can, people that are named Frank. Okay? You can see all of a sudden, instead of 1,500, I have 4 that I have to look at. Now, Frank Ferrante, I'm connected with, so I wouldn't need to do that. But let's say it was Deb Franklin that I want to reach out to. Well, bingo, now I can take and do so. So about this group, it's a listed group. It was created in 2011. And sales tips, just a brief description. I got added. I was part of the group admin. Maybe I'm no longer. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been out here. I do get updates on it. Craig, I know, has been part of it. So, but we're going to go to the Empowerment Breakfast. That's a local networking group. Started as part of the Small Business Administration. It still is quasi associated with it. The marketing person contact with it. But if you go over here, you can see group admins. I'm the owner. I created the group. Madeline Moyer and Elizabeth Yearwood are group managers, and Kathleen Piper. She retired. I suppose I would probably want to take her off of this group. Elizabeth actually works for the Small Business Administration. Madeline is connected with Security National Bank. So there's more than just me that's part of this group. Now, if I should leave this group, I would turn ownership over to one of the managers. I saw a question pop up.
Yeah, we have a couple of them. Could you search for Union Pacific to find people who work there?
Oh, yeah.
And then where, I guess as a follow-up, where you search for their name, could you just do a search for Union Pacific?
Okay, so you see me, I'm typing in the LinkedIn search box, the quick search box, and just hit enter. So now I get this screen and I have my 148,000 results. So what I want to do is take and say, okay, I want to see people. Now I'm down to 147. And this is where you would start taking and refining quickly by location, if it's a current company. Okay.
They actually, sorry, Jeff, they actually meant in the group. Could you do?
Oh, in the group?
Like, in the group, could you search by company name to find people in the group?
Well, that is a good question. Let's see, let me find oh. This has got almost 2 million members. So if I see all, no search results. Any members, evidently you can only search for names of individuals and not companies. Okay, and this person here risks being kicked off of LinkedIn. They're using a personal profile as a business. That's against the terms of usage. Same thing down here, here. So you got to watch that. They probably don't police it as well as they might have at one time. But that is a concern, because anytime you start doing that and you get flagged or something happens where LinkedIn does remove your profile, you lose all the connections, you lose all the value that you created by doing so. So you need a personal profile and a business page. Do not misuse a personal profile as a business. That's really true on any social media platform. You always have a personal profile, and you can have a business page or profile connected to your personal profile. That's how it's best done. Okay, notifications, like I said, this is where you can see what's going on, and here's a connection, actually a business person I'm connected with. Now, one of the things you see here is a dot, and those means that he's online right now. Okay, so I could message him right away. And whether it's a dot with a solid, that means he's on a desktop, or if it's a white circle in the middle or a white dot with a colored circle on the outside, that means he's on a mobile. I mean, that's the only thing that, so it does help you a little bit in that regard. Chris Brogan, he's a social media practitioner, digital marketer that I follow. Dan Porterfield, that's a connection that I have with somebody. He's actually in North Carolina. So several years ago, I was there visiting a friend of mine that used to live in Omaha, and I connected with him. And part of that is that I might at some point relocate to the East Coast, and I might be considering North Carolina, and I want to keep that connection together so that I might be able to leverage it at some point down the road. So these are some other people, and Jerry is her business, Benefit Choices in Nebraska. So, and then you can look at these other posts. Here's my post was shared successfully. That's one that I just did. And then other things of people that I'm connected with, and sometimes here, like respond as Heartland CBMC. Okay, that's one of the business pages that I'm part of. And it says this trending post on business advice. So I am a SCORE volunteer, and there may, well, SCORE, I'm not part of any. I don't believe I have any pages here on SCORE. Let me see. As you can see, my profile. Oh yeah, SCORE Mentors. So I do have am an admin on the SCORE Mentors page in Omaha. So I haven't added any hashtags to the page. That's about the last thing I need to do. This is also sort of managed. I'm a manager of it, not the creator or owner of the page, because SCORE is a national organization. And here are the admin tools. Manage admins. And you can see all the people that are part of this. And some of these, this is actually the national person in Washington, D.C., Bridget. And then there's some other people that are part of, there's a social media company. Kayla, for example, is with a company. I don't know who Laura is offhand, but those are the things about the, where you can actually add more people and manage those particular people. But if you get into analytics, say, okay, I want to see the update, analytics updates. So there's 2 updates, and this is what's going on organically. 9 people saw this, aggregate, organic, and sponsored. Well, we're not spending any money. So putting some stuff out here, you can see I do, and then some of the other people that are part of the group put stuff out. And you can see what kind of impressions they have. This doesn't necessarily, oh, wait a minute, let me go over here. It gives you engagement rates and other things. It doesn't tell you the time of day or day of week. So it's a little different in that regard. It doesn't really give you a whole lot more information. Let's see. Let's click on the post if I can see some analytics there. No, I don't see analytics on a post. Got a lot of tabs open here. Let me. So anyhow, like I said, notifications, this is where you would see that. And where you could actually click on that particular thing and go out to read it, say, okay, this is Dan's thing. He's actually another digital marketer here locally that I met through Western Douglas County Chamber. So we connected. So here are the reactions. There's no other comments on here. But this is where if I wanted to share it or add something to it, this is one of the things I would do. So what else is there? There is a Pro Finder here where you could actually take and put, take advantage. What service do you need? This is where you would do it, but also where you could be found as a, are you a pro? So you could actually take and actually put things in there, get leads into your inbox through this service. So that's another opportunity within LinkedIn. Find leads. Some of these things, post a job. Salary. There used to be another one here. They took it off. It was a learning center. They used to be with, oh, there it is. This is learning. Lynda.com. LinkedIn owns them. So there's a way to get some, you know, online education. Some of it's free, some of it's paid for, you have to buy. But one thing that I also recommend that if you want some of the things that lynda.com offers, some of that is actually available through the Omaha Public Library system on their resources link, and that's for free. So, so this is their talent solutions, insights for actually attracting talent. I thought it was something a little different, but I haven't looked at this in a while. Chat with sales. I want you to buy something. And you can advertise on LinkedIn too. Now, to be honest with you, for the companies I've actually advertised, I have not found a great deal of success. Now, when I've advertised with them, the areas that I have been these text messages up on top, or it has been down the side here. It has not been in the news feed. Again, that's based on pricing, what I've done. So, but I've never found it to be as good as some of the things that I've done, let's say just on Google Ads and Facebook boost advertising. So again, it's all depends upon the market, what you're actually trying to accomplish. So I don't discount it. It's just that my personal experience has not been as relevant there as some of the other areas. It's not that it isn't a good tool. Again, it's just something that I've not really found where the results have been that great. So you can see last year I did something for Heartland CBMC, individual accounts, some things, SCORE. I've done some advertising, but it's been a number of years, and I had 4 campaigns there. When I've done something individually, it's been for some of my clients. So like I said, when you, there's a couple of ways to always get to wherever you want to look at. Like here's me, and this is where I can view the profile. Here's your settings and privacy. This is where you can actually say how you want to get communicated, how, you know, how visible you want to be. There's a lot of different things that are in here. This is where you put in your emails, and that's why I say you need more than one email. And recently, that's right, that's something that I just actually changed. I should probably change that back. I moved my website to a new hosting service, and I had to reset my settings and my domain record to point properly to my Microsoft Exchange account. I know that gets technical, but it lost connection, so my email service to my business account wasn't there, and LinkedIn told me that. So I said, okay. So my email for a couple hours was not functioning very well for my business, and I changed it to my personal email on LinkedIn, and I haven't changed it back. So I do get updates through LinkedIn, but generally now it's more or less just saying, hey, your profile's being looked at. They used to send you alerts and a lot of different things, like if you wanted to get alerts on group conversations and you wanted to get alerts on other things. So now they've really trimmed that down. They went through with the ownership change several years ago where LinkedIn went from private to being owned by Microsoft. Things changed a little bit in that regard, especially on groups. But groups have actually come out back to being a little bit more vibrant than what they had initially under Microsoft when they started going through and making some changes that really were, let's say, disheartening to a lot of people that were part of the groups. And it still is to a certain extent, because you used to be able to take and get the updates in your inbox on your email system about group things. Now it's like you almost have to go out to the groups to take a look at the group feed to see what's going on. So, and you used to be able to take and actually send messages to everybody within the group. And I don't know if they've reinstilled that or reinstalled that or not. I haven't been part of that for a while. So, are there any other specific questions that you'd like me to dive into? We got a few more minutes. Well, if there's no other questions, I guess we can, oh, there's a question.
I think you may have hit enter too soon, Mark. Just, oh, there we go. How long should I spend per day per week on this to get started?
Okay, if you haven't started LinkedIn, obviously you're going to be starting off fresh. You need to get your personal profile out there and then connections, okay? You need to start inviting people that you know, and you can search for them in the quick search box. And when I say, it's maybe a little bit more laborious because you're going to be doing this one at a time. You click on their profile, invite them to connect. You could maybe do the quick connect, because if you know them quite well, they understand that you're just doing a connection, starting your LinkedIn profile, and you want to build up your connections. Now, one of the things that I told people that were actually looking for a job, the magic starts when you start getting 70 connections or more. That's when all of a sudden you can start seeing people down the pipeline. There's actually 6 levels of connections on LinkedIn. You probably heard the phrase, we're all 6 degrees separated from Kevin Bacon. But it is amazing when you start thinking about it. I know that several years ago, I was looking on LinkedIn and I found a connection to a real estate agent in Alexandria, Virginia, that I was a 2nd level connection to. And I'm going, really? Who am I a 1st level connection to? And there was somebody I was connected to that was connected to that person. Now, my son and his family live in Alexandria, Virginia. It wasn't my son. It was somebody else that I was connected to. That was actually, to this real estate agent. I thought, wow, this is a small world when you start thinking about it. So you're going to have to invest more time to actually build up your connections. And the same thing is true about your page. Once you start getting your connections lined up, building your page, populating it with content, when that content shows up in your feed, take and share that, or like it, to take and get it shared with your network, and then promote it in that sense with your network by sharing it and saying, hey, this is my new company page. I'd really like you to follow it, that sort of thing. And make sure that you're out there publishing useful content. Again, don't post and run, publish something that's of value to get more people to like it. Sharing a story a little bit on, this is actually on Facebook. I've got a client in northern Wisconsin, and he runs a number of businesses, and one happens to be a seasonal ice cream shop. And he had 0 people that liked his Facebook page. We paid initially to build it up to a couple of hundred people. Once we started posting things on there, the couple hundred people started sharing it. It built up eventually to 600. Part of it was that I actually shot a video and shared it out there, and people shared that video. Boom. Video's big, even on LinkedIn. Okay, so that's always something worthwhile. And then he launched a new product, pizza, in his little community, fresh baked wood-fired pizza, and had somebody that was up there doing Instagram that automatically shared things on Facebook. And he went from 600 to 1,200 people that liked his page, posts that were shared between LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, but Instagram, and his Facebook page went viral, and 12,000 people saw some of these posts. Remember, he only had 600 people that liked his page, and this is where the viralness, when somebody comments or likes a LinkedIn page or a post and shares a post, it can go viral within their network. And the larger those individual networks are, the more it can grow, and actually your people that can like your page and your content can actually grow, build your connection. So that's a great way to do it. You're not paying to get it done.
Next question we have is, when I set up a company page, can I have other employees own it too?
You can, not necessarily as owners. Let's see here. Admin tools, manage admins, add a new admin. And this is where you could take and add somebody. Let's see, who's part of my network that I want to take and put in here. Okay, Madeline Moyer. Okay, so take and add Madeline, and it's just as a admin. Okay, it's not what I wanted. Let's see if there's another group. It's been a while since I've done this, so I apologize. Let me go to the Empowerment Breakfast. I don't know if I'm actually connected with her. I just thought of that. It's kind of an interesting thought. Okay, this is a group. It's not a page. Sorry about that. Let me see. Manage admins. Okay. Ooh. Interesting. There.
Jeff, you can transfer ownership of a business page to someone else at some point, right?
Yeah, and basically that's through the admin. Okay, because I can see here as I just added Dan, he's the forum director, as an admin to this page, because I was connected to Dan. Okay, so you can only do that to people that you are connected with. Okay, I was trying to type in another director locally. His name is John Reimer. I am not connected with John, which is interesting. I didn't know that. Let's see if John has a. John is not very. Yep. He's in here. Okay. I'm going to have to work with John. He's not very digitally connected. Let's put it that way.
The other question is so their nonprofit has 6,700 people liking on Facebook. How can we get that to get more connections in LinkedIn?
Okay, well, this is where I would take the link. Okay, so when you are on a page, I'm going to view, let's say if I view as a member, okay, I'm seeing this as just anybody else. I go up here, and before the question mark, I highlight and copy this link. Okay, you go on your Facebook group and you share this link asking people that are on your Facebook page or how you're connected to like your LinkedIn page. Want to see how that's done? Okay, copy. Go. Here, I'll go to Google, go to Facebook. Really? Sorry, two-factor authentication again. So it send a text over to my phone. Oh, doesn't send a text. That's right. Facebook is a little different. You have to go into settings, and then there's a code generator. So I think I copied the score page, didn't I? Okay. So these are the pages on Facebook that I am a manager on. And I'll go to the SCORE Mentors page. And I can create a post. Take and type that link, and there it is. Now it gives you the opportunity to boost it, which is paying, which I don't want to do. And then there's things within LinkedIn, Facebook about publishing. Okay, when you actually do what I just did, you could only publish it immediately. There is a publishing function where you can schedule posts out within the Facebook platform. So I'm actually going to post that. So it actually is going to go out to SCORE Mentors. So it'll actually show on this. Be sure to also like our LinkedIn page. So there are how many people that like our SCORE Mentors page? Four hundred and 432 people like our Facebook page and 473 follow it. So it's a little different, but we publish on both platforms for different events that we have coming up. So that's the way to do that. Okay, well, we've used up a lot of time here. I don't know if there's any other questions. I'd like to maybe remind people to fill out the evaluation surveys. We appreciate that so that we can see whether or not I should do this again, if there's other things that you'd like to see, or also if you need any kind of assistance from SCORE in terms of mentoring. So that's something that is available, and again, kind of a free service, which is very nice. So,
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. If nobody else has any questions, we're going to go ahead and end it for today. And if you want to, if you're interested in watching this again, it will be up on YouTube, on the DoSpace YouTube page later, probably in a couple of weeks.
yeah, and if you downloaded the handout, you will see my email address on there, jeff.quant@scorevolunteers.org. And if you wanted to send me any questions or messages, that's one way to do that.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.